Aloha, guys. Welcome. Happy Aloha Monday. Hope you guys had a good first day of your work week. I swear the dogs definitely know I am live, and I think I just figured out why it is. I sit down, I turn on my ring light, and I do this. I think they figured it out because that's when Pia usually, okay, how Pia jumps off of the bed, comes running over and wants her treats. So, hi gang. We got people hanging out and chat, and wow, Cooter, you're on time. Yes, you're one of the first three in there saying hi, girl. And also, how are you? Sorry, Cassie. Thank God for Crisp. Hopefully, you guys won't hear the dogs barking because of Crisp. Okay, I am not sponsored by Crisp or anything like that, even though if they ever want to, yeah, exactly. They've saved my butt many times and your guys' ears. And but I do want to say hi to a bunch of people before we start this. Guys, since Friday, I don't know about you guys, but in much the same way that I could not get Ariel off of my mind, Geanna, I can't get out of my head. I can't stop thinking about the case. I can't stop thinking what could have done and happened differently to have had a different outcome. And there's a lot going on here in Hawaii to look at those changes, and we need to push. We need to stand up. We need to push forward. And that's why today, instead of a normal missing Mondays with a new person, we're going to talk about a couple other things here because I sometimes you have to really listen to what you feel like you have to be talking about. And I've pinned up at the link. A lot of you guys I know are already part of the Ariel Facebook group that Sleuth Mom started a while back. We have expanded it to include Geanna and basically all of the kids, all the Keiki that we need to stand up for. Okay, because hopefully we'll start seeing where one of the things we're going to look at today is where are those red flags? Because guys, Ariel, Geanna, the same red flags over and over and over. When are we going to realize this? And Cooter, if you haven't seen Friday, I went through the full criminal complaint against Geanna, and we will definitely go over a little bit about what happened with Geanna. I do want to say hi to everyone also. I've also gotten some wonderful videos that I've come across. Got one of I shared it on my community page, the sweetest video of Geanna playing on the playground. Sweetest video I've ever seen. We shared the other day a video of Ariel in her happy days. And I want to share. Oh, the Facebook page. Okay, I was thinking, I was like, wait, wasn't she in there? Maybe not. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Yes, Sleuth actually had, and it is pinned up at the top of the chat box there. But it's still Ariel's page. Okay, Gianna's page. It's there for all the children, updates on all the cases. And also for those of you who are here in Hawaii, and I hope we could get more and more people from Hawaii working on standing up. We can actually start making some changes by being there in person, by walking a mile in honor of Geanna, for example, on Wednesday. So, but a couple real quick highs. We had our new crazy Crystal. I love that name, by the way. I absolutely adore that name. And also, welcome, Crystal. And Seal, yeah, Seal has been helping me come across stuff. I mean, the photos I'm going to share. I've tried to put together some slides. You guys know how I love my slides, pictures. And yeah, Cooter, it really is. Hawaiian dog crates and stuff. Ugh, yeah, it is like mainland and duffel bags. I swear. I hope you're enjoying your coffee. I almost made coffee, but I happen to have black sesame latte, which for those of you who are on the mainland, you're missing it if you have never had black sesame anything. Okay, black sesame mochi, black sesame. Only thing is next time I'm getting the smoothie, not the latte. Latte's good though. Black sesame is amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it. And so who else we got here? We've got Justice for Ariel. Aloha, my dear. Aloha and mahalo for all you do. We are, yeah, 21st is coming up. The 14th, we will be out there walking for Geanna. And on the 21st, we are there for Ariel. And we'll talk about both of those today. And who else? Anyone else here? Thea, I thought I saw our Thea. How you doing, my dear? And Thea and her paranormal stuff. If you like paranormal, like I do, yeah, you head there. You head there. I can go books. Hey, girl, how you doing? Love you, love you, love you. And I think did I just see Lioness in here? Yep, I saw Lioness in here too. Bubsy is here. Hey, Bubsy, how you doing? Also, I do want to say thank you. There's a couple people I also needed to say an extra thank you about as soon as I get through and get caught up. And Lioness, I know I saw you there. Hello, Lioness. So, yes, you guys will be there with us in spirit. And Loco needs to turn on the AC because it's getting warm in the bedroom. So, first of all, before I start anything, a huge, super huge from the bottom of my heart, mahalo. Thank you. Nelbell sent me a really sweet Christmas gift through PayPal. I love you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Tim, thank you. I woke up to super thanks, and I really want to thank you guys for that. I was actually joking with Sleuth earlier saying, hey, this might not only because, yeah, the stuff that I did have to go and get on Friday, I did pay for. So that will help with that. But when we go to any of these rallies and all, the way in Hawaii, everything is food related. Okay, so you got to bring food. You got to bring the malasadas or stuff like that. So see, it might help out with that. So thank you guys. I did want to say thank you. Thanks for the birthday gift, and thank you so much, Tim, for support. You support so many of us, so thank you. And so let's see, where are we? Oh my gosh, other than a dog barking. So now that YouTube has gotten all the notifications out, and we're starting to get the majority of y'all in here. Want to start? We're going to bookend this whole live today with two videos of two kiddos that in their happy days, because they did have their happy days. The end of their lives was not happy, but they had people who loved them, who truly loved them. And we're going to start off and bookend both ends. We're going to start off with Geanna, and we're going to end with Ariel. Hello, Sleuth. I love you, my dear. Love you. Thank you. So let's pull this up. And if I can find the window for it now, that's the fun part. So in looking around for stuff for Geanna, okay, we came across this video. And there are no words. She is the sweetest thing. I'm going to start playing it so you guys can see her. This is little Geanna before, okay, all of what her life turned into happened. This is Geanna happy, running free, carefree, just running and playing on the slides and stuff like that. And so that we remember exactly who these children are. So, oops. I don't have it up. Do I have volume? Yes, I do have volume. It's just, I don't know if it's playing for you guys. I did not hear volume though on my end. So let me just plug it in real quick and try again. Ah, there it is. It's real soft.
Geanna. Hey, mama.
Daddy giving her a call and her looking back with those big eyes, like any little girl does. They look up at their daddy. Okay. The giggles.
Hey, mom.
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, you.
So cute, this little one. These
Where you
are the
going?
ways We fight for what we saw at the end, but these are the ones we remember.
Well,
This is the memory for everyone. And guys, for her mom and dad, our thoughts and our prayers, because this is not something anyone should have to go through. Woo! She is. She is such a, oh, I mean, absolutely adorable. Look at her running over. Time to get back on the slide. No, we're going to climb up the slide the other way. That's it, exactly. That little voice. So I wanted to start with that because so many times, gang, we remember everything based off of this the case. And it's not a case. We talk about this all the time, that these are not just cases. These are lives. These are people who have loved ones who just adore them and want anything in the world to be with them. As I mentioned, Seal and I've been looking around and trying to get some more information on what's going on in the cases and all. And there's a little bit, this happens anytime you have a case going on, where especially when it's a child who's been put into the system, you get people saying, well, why are they in the system? What happened? Okay, well, all that other stuff. And you know what? First of all, we all know the system does great stuff. It does do great stuff, but it also does horrible stuff. And that's why I'm always saying it's not about blame, it's about finding out where things are falling apart and fixing it. Hello, Red Rocks. Love you, my dear. And all, because everything has a way to be improved. And all. So, this little girl, and I'm going to tell you at some point, because I know her mom actually addressed what happened. Okay, why was Geanna in the situation where she was at? First of all, it's not necessarily always our business. I'll be honest with that, but I do know we're all human and we all like to know. Okay. Um, in the end, this is their family, their relationships, their love. But I did want to bring this up because this, guys, was just recently. This was a video that was a video, a post that Gianna's mom did on October of last year when Geanna turned 10. It was Gianna's birthday. Hawalila now. And she hadn't seen her daughter, but her daughter was still in her heart. Yeah, she's been very honest. Exactly, Seal. Saying exactly what happened, taking responsibility for what led to where it was, and making the changes in her life, just like Ariel's family did, just like Ariel's mom did, just like her dad did. Recognizing where the problems were, made the changes, did the hard work, and all. Unfortunately, we have two girls who are not with us anymore. And yeah, they both families, everyone has been working so hard. Okay, and on October 4th, on her daughter's 10th birthday, first decade on Earth, you're thinking, how many of you guys who've had kids before, you're like, okay, their first decade, where are they going to be 10 years from now? They're going to be in college, or out having a family of their own. You've got all these things going. And she's posting this about, happy birthday to my only daughter who is turning 10 today. We may be apart, but there's not a day that goes by that I don't miss you. I wish that you get every single thing your beautiful heart desires. Mommy loves you, Gianna Marie, to the moon and back forever. Happy birthday, my princess. May God keep you safe until we are all reunited again. Guys, Gianna, she most likely knew Gianna wasn't going to see this. And but she loved her enough, knowing that she wasn't going to see it. What's the use of doing it? You're not doing it to make a point. You're doing it because you love that child and you care about that child and you want to get those emotions out. And she loved, you can tell. Look at the, and you're going to see more pictures as we go through this of just how much, okay, and how deep that love was and how hard she was working to be able to get her daughter back. And her father, too. Her father's been working hard. Her father, right now, is putting together weekly vigils and prayer vigils. One thing I've noticed about both mom and dad, they are very faith driven. And that is what I hope God will help them as they go through this. But if not, the external ohana will be there. The ones who are going to come and try to be there at the different rallies and stuff will be there for them. And those of you on the mainland will still light your candles and things like that until these changes get made that need to be made. So, but yeah, you look at that picture. Look at mama and her little girl there. Okay, with her shaka hand. Okay, she got shaka out and all that. So want to start with this real quickly before we go into the rest of the discussion. Okay, we've got two big, for lack of a better word, I'm using the word rally, guys, but they're different things, okay, in different parts. But they're both very important. So for those of you from Hawaii, okay, if you're from Hawaii and not just Oahu, okay, some of these are being done across the state on all the islands. Okay, join the Facebook group for more information on those things. But this Wednesday, Valentine's Day at 4 p.m., we are all meeting in front of the state capitol and we're walking a mile, okay, in honor for Geanna. Okay, hopefully this is going, as they say here, it's going to go further and further and further. Okay, people are upset on this island rightfully right now. We can't forget though, because that unfortunately is what happens is we forget. That tends to be something unfortunately a lot of people do. No one likes to think about things like this. And then a week later, the following Wednesday, the 21st, at 7:30 in the morning, Kapolei Family Courthouse, there is going to be another Let's Stand Together for Ariel as they come together and try to get her adoption records and other records unsealed so we can find out what actually was known so that we can start demanding change. We can make sure she gets the justice she deserves and other children never have to go through this. So please remember both of those dates if you're on the island or in the state. And if you're on the mainland, please help us out. Become that squeaky wheel. Share it out. Okay. Go around Wednesday, Valentine's Day. We're going to be wearing red. But remember, this time instead of wearing red for Valentine's Day, you're wearing it in honor of Geanna. Okay. Have your purple. Okay. On the 21st. Keep these two in your heart. So gonna move on to Geanna and a couple real quick updates for Geanna. The first thing I did want to share, first of all these pictures, I do want to thank her family members for sharing these. They had Geanna for 2 years. What I find really sad is that there are more pictures of her in 2 years than there were in 8 years. I haven't seen any pictures other than the one right there in the upper center in the years after that. Okay, or visitation. Okay, not necessarily 2 years. You can see some of these were visitation times. But it says something to me. And welcome back, click and go. And so first thing first, okay, as many of you guys know, Geanna's legal guardians, okay, male, female, okay, and grandma, Hanai grandma, were arrested on Friday. for her murder. There's also a charge of kidnapping in there, hindering prosecution, bunch of different things. They're going, yes, and I've got a very noisy dog. Let me pull up my other notes right here so we can actually show you what I've got here. Let me do this and share this with y'all real quick. Today they were at court. All three of them showed up in court, and sorry, gang, it takes me a second to pull all this stuff out. Uh, there we go. So this is Brandy, who is legal maternal guardian, I guess. I don't want to call her a mother or anything like that because it does not read mother to me at all. Behavior does not. And however, this is again just a reminder we are talking about murder in the second degree. There are kidnapping, and a lot of us are trying to figure out exactly how that fits in. The dates for that are showing up May. Okay, there's two different date sets we're seeing. Definitely May 11th of last year, and then another date being October 1st. So something within that time there was a little bit of a change. I need to go back to the documents and see exactly where that is coming about and why. There's got to be something going on there. Um, but kidnapping, criminal conspiracy for kidnapping, I think a lot of that, my gut feeling is we heard about Geanna being kept in a enclosed space. Okay, it doesn't even count as a room in my eyes. Okay, that was 3 feet by 6 inches by 7 feet, something like that. And she'd be kept in there. They would put a bucket in there for her to go to the bathroom. She would have her eyes covered and duct taped with coverings and stuff like that. Something tells me that's connected there. I may be wrong with that, but that's my gut feeling. I don't know, you guys in chat, how you guys feel about that. If you have your own thoughts as to what could be. That's where the kidnapping charges come from. Seal, that's what you think too. Yeah, it's kind of given me that feel there. Definitely that's where the unlawful imprisonment is coming on. And we know that because they do mention the May 11th date heavily with that. But it is interesting, the two different. I'm not sure if there's something that changed. Remember, there's a 4-year-old in this story also. This case has a 4-year-old. So was maybe one of those dates, again, assumption, warning, guys, this is full assumption on my part right now. Could the May have been more of a Geanna focused and October where things starting to change with the 4-year-old? Now that he was getting a little older, I'm not sure. We do know the 4-year-old was admitted into the hospital also for the abuse he sustained. Click and Go is commenting right now that what's so scary and messed up is other parents who lose children to the state will be terrified of their children will be harmed or worse while they try to get there. Exactly. Exactly. And we're going to actually, an article that Seal came across actually on Civil Beat. Civil Beat, for those of you in Hawaii, does amazing work. Amazing work. She came across an article that just blew my mind away. And we're going to go over that a little bit later. So those of you guys who want to, basically, it's an article where it's talking about where families whose children are in the system are being taken to court to not be able to speak up against the system. It's mind-blowing when I read that. And they definitely need stricter protocols in place. I mean, there's way too many different things going on in this case that if they were just looking at and fixing one or two of those, they would fix a lot of the red flags. So we have the rest, including endangering the welfare of a minor and hindering prosecution in the first degree. Now, what all happened today? Okay, the three were brought into court at that time. At the time, they asked for bail. They wanted at least in this one case, and I suspect the amount was probably the same in all three. I need to go back and double check, but at least in this case, they wanted bail in $500,000. Thank you, Judge, for saying, no, that's not happening. We are not having you guys. I mean, anyone who has read this complaint can see the concerns the complaint comes up with. Okay, these people not only hurt these two children, they had four other children who they may not have physically hurt, but in my eyes, there's massive emotional abuse there because now those children are having to deal with whatever emotions all of this is bringing up for them. So, yeah. Um, yep, denied. Ask for bail, denied. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Judge, for doing that because you know what? Yeah. Good to hear. I did look over the rest of it, and it looks like both KHON and Civil Beat have filed for extended coverage, which basically will allow them to provide extended coverage, including video and audio. And also, that's good to know. They're thinking about that ahead of time. The next time we will see them in court will be on the 14th. Okay, on the 14th, they will be coming in for an initial hearing, preliminary hearing, and hopefully we will see what pops up out of that. Justice for Ariel. Brandy Bloss is pregnant. Oh, I didn't know that. Asked the judge to be released to see a proper doctor. No, you know what? If if other women who are in jail, okay, are able to see a doctor at OCCC, I think she should be able to be okay with that also. I mean, after all, she didn't have any problem with Gianna not getting any medical care whatsoever, even though she had, okay, remember, massive trauma to the bridge of her nose. And so I'm sure she can deal with it. Now, okay, I'm not going to be unrealistic. If the doctor there is like, okay, yeah, you're at a high risk or something like that, of course, we want to do what's best for a baby because that baby is okay, completely innocent. And but I know the doctors that are out, they can do good work. They can do good work. There's yeah. Yeah, I agree. Seal, hopefully someone else will be raising that child. That I agree 110%. And so that's where we are with the actual court side of this case. Um Now, I mentioned to you guys that mom has stepped up and tried to explain what happened because yes, a lot of people are asking for, well, how did they lose custody, all those other things, and I give huge props to them for being willing to speak up because again, it's like on mental health days when we talk on mental health Fridays. Okay, when you know that you are not the only one having the same struggles, it makes it easier to deal with those struggles. So, how many other women and men are on that edge or may have just lost their child and they're scared as it is because they're hearing this? But if they can hear that, you know what, someone else has fought through and done everything, okay, now we just got to get the state to find ways to give these children back once it's safe. And so, mom's story, and one of the reasons why she is doing this, and I'm going to share the GoFundMe in a few, there is a GoFundMe that has been put together to help cover the costs for Gianna's funeral. Gianna needs to be laid to rest, and that's expensive. And most people don't have that type of insurance put together for a 10-year-old child, especially a 10-year-old child that doesn't even live with them. And so by being upfront from the beginning explaining things, she's hoping that will help. So her story her story started, yes, when she was okay, she had Gianna and all. It's very heavily the same story we saw with Ariel. Okay, you had a case, and guys, again, this is a huge issue in Hawaii. and one that is going to need to be part of the solution if we're going to address the issue. And but she was addicted to substances, and that led her to the place where she was living on the streets. So it was very much like Ariel, fighting addiction, the addiction leading them to being on the streets. Tim, hey, 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 welcome, welcome. And again, thank you from the bottom of my thank you, my dear. Thank you. And because of those two things, the state stepped up and was like, this is not the best placement for a child. And you know what? I think all of us understand. Okay, you know what? In theory, it probably isn't the best idea. Okay, but what we need to be doing is how can we be helpful for mom or dad who's fighting those issues on getting clean and rebuilding their life so everyone can be brought back together at that point. Um, Same thing with Ariel's. Well, a list of things were put together. You need to do these things. Remember, Ariel's mom just did that because of her new baby. She went and did that whole list ahead of time without even being asked because she's like, I'm not giving anyone a chance of taking this child away from me. And they still tried to go and address it. Um However, in this case, Gianna's mom went through that program. She went through drug court. Guys, drug court. This is the same drug court that Lehua Kalua went to. Remember, both Isaac and Lehua had backgrounds themselves. They were not this lily white couple that was a perfect foster situation for Ariel. Okay, many of us feel they never should have had her to begin with because of it. Okay, Lehua did go through drug court. And because she went through drug court, all of that was wiped off. And in this case, Gianna's mom goes through drug court. She graduated from drug court. She went to other programs, succeeded her way through all those programs. Unfortunately, by the time she graduated from drug court and all those things, the worst had happened. She missed her court date for keeping Geanna. Once you miss that court date, decisions happen quickly. And in this case, her parental rights, according to her at that time, were terminated, and she lost her custody of Geanna. And Geanna was officially in the system at that point. Um, she said she did ask for help afterwards once she was clean, okay, and trying to move forward and all. She wanted her daughter back. Okay, again, go back to this message. This is 8 years later as her daughter turns 10 years old, and you can see how much this little girl means to her and how much she wants her to be part of her life again. So she went to number of people, including her lawyers and all that, trying to say, what can I do? I need to get my daughter back. I want my daughter back. And unfortunately, according to her, a lot of people started saying, yeah, I understand, but you know what? You don't want to fight the state. You don't want to, fighting the state's not good. The lawyers didn't want to go against the state. And guys, I'm saying this right now because of the article we're going to read in a few minutes, where people have actually spoken up against the state and you have a family member in the system. I can actually understand why those people were probably reticent. I wish they had not been. I wish to God they had not been. And but it shows where we talk about Hawaii corruption and all that. It shows where people are so worried about the system. So worried, in fact, that they don't want to speak up against the system. Trust me. Sleuth and I've had this discussion, her and I, about, oh gosh, do I speak up at times? It's scary at times. Okay, yeah, it's not where you want, but you know what? These children mean more in the end, plain and simple. So, Um, where is she today? Where is Gianna's mom today? She's clean. She's sober. She has a job that is well paying. She has insurance, medical insurance, all those things coming in through her job. She has a safe home with caring, loving people there who could have supported this baby, this, well, 10-year-old. So that's her story, according to a post that she did when people started questioning the GoFundMe and all sorts of other things. She's like, okay, guys, you know what? Here, I need, you guys want to know the truth? I'll give you the truth. Here's everything I have. And that's what she did. And I give her huge props for being willing to do that. Huge props. So, sorry, let me get back to this. From here, we've got Wednesday's rally for anyone who's willing to join us that day or to make the loudest noise you can on your community tab or your Facebook from the mainland or whatever on Wednesday. We are going to be walking in honor of Geanna and standing for our Keiki. Thursdays, her father, since this all happened, has been, he shared, you can see the picture of her and her dad in the upper left there, and with her as a baby. He's the one who did the video of her playing in the playground. And he has announced that every Thursday night there's going to be a prayer vigil. Again, like I said, both these parents have a deep faith, it seems, from what I've read at least. And there's going to be a vigil every Thursday. Now, I'm not sure with the walk on Wednesday, if they're also going to do the Thursday vigil. I suspect yes. But if there's any updates, I'll let you guys know about that. And last bit on this, before we move over, I want to talk a little bit about the ties between the two, and then we're going to go through that one article real quick. Let me get rid of that real quick and pull up the next, which is the GoFundMe. I don't know if any of you mods can help share the GoFundMe link. Sorry, my dog's going ballistic again. And but a GoFundMe has been set up. Here we go for Geanna. Okay, right now they're hoping to raise $10,000. They've raised $345. Now, again, this whole GoFundMe is there for one reason. It's to lay Geanna to rest because you know what? The state isn't giving a lot of money. I don't know if they're giving any money, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know the specifics on that. But even if they were, they're going to give like the minute flowers. Who needs flowers for a funeral? Okay, who needs this? Who needs, okay, all the different things that are going on. This little princess deserves to be laid to rest, okay, in a special way. She deserves to be shown the love that she was not shown the last 8 years of her life. And so they're asking people to please donate towards that. And if you go there, you can hear a little bit about what's going on with everything. As she did say, right now, they don't have an exact date for the service. Trial, of course, is still in motion. We've got a preliminary hearing just coming up in 2 days. And a lot of information she can't share because, you don't want to mess up your own daughter's potential case by saying things that could cause problems further down. And also, so if you are willing to donate, okay, or share with someone who might be willing to donate, please consider doing that. The link right now, let me let me share that link right now here. Sorry, gang. Fund me. There we go. For those of you guys in chat, well, if it shares, there we go. There's the link. And for those of you who would like to donate towards that, so far 6 people have donated. This is fairly new, so hopefully that will grow. So, okay, moving on to the discussion about Ariel and Geanna and the ties between the two. Okay. Um, I've been trying to sit, and I'd be interested how many of you guys have done the same thing and figure out what are the ties, because to fix the system, we need to look at what is failing in the system. What is it that seems to be routinely seen in case after case after case? Because if you fix those, you have the highest chance of preventing issues in the future. Okay, look for things that are similar in many cases. I just sat down for 5 minutes and I had a list of one, two, three, four different things that popped up immediately. Love to hear what you guys have thoughts of in chat and everything. I just noticed I have top chat on, not live chat, so we'll change that real quick. And so, one of the first things, and I think this is one of the things Hawaii has recognized very quickly in both of these cases, both girls were pulled out of school. Now, we talked about this the other day. Homeschooling on its own is not bad. In fact, I think some of the smartest kids I've ever known, and I've known quite a few that are homeschooled, come from a homeschool setting. Okay, they are just heads and shoulders above a lot of the kids I know that go through regular, okay, public schools, etc. And the problem occurs that in many cases, and you guys can list them out from the mainland, how often do you guys find cases where people are pulled out of school and then no one is really there to watch what's going on? Part of our school's job is to be that front line of defense if they see a child that is hurting, a child that's being abused. Gabrielle, you guys remember with Gabrielle, it was a school teacher who kept seeing things that were wrong and saying something's wrong. Something's happening at this kid's home. And Ariel, same thing. We had a teacher who, while she was still at school, was sitting there saying, something's up here. I just noticed this. I just noticed that. I think someone needs to take a look in this case. Geanna, well, she was pulled out of the school, and which prevented anyone from seeing. I mean, we ourselves, I mean, take a look here. I should have this up still. If you look at this picture of Geanna here, many people are saying you can see evidence of abuse on this picture alone. I mean, you can see reddish areas and bruises and stuff like that. So if you've got a child who's going into school, they can be checking that. Now, fine. If you want to homeschool the child, that's no problem, gang. But how can we set up visits on a regular basis to assure that pulling them out of school is not being used as a way to hide injuries? Also, she should have just finished a whole year of school, homeschooling. And was the family ever sending in that analysis on how she did? I've wondered about that actually, because there was actually at the end of every school year, you're supposed to submit a report that basically says, okay, this is what everyone's learned, this is what the grades are like, these are okay, things we're working harder on, things like that. Did Gianna have that report submitted to DOE or the system or whoever? Was that required in her case? Something to look at. I think it's one of the first areas that I've noticed quite a few legislators, at least locally, saying, hey, we need to get something into place here because we're losing. This is that one red flag that seems to pop up over and over again. You guys in chat, are you guys catching any other similarities from what we talked about on Friday till today? I'm trying. Okay, I just mentioned one a few minutes ago, the drug use. In both Ariel and Gianna's stories, parents were fighting drug addiction. Drug addiction is a huge issue in Hawaii. We've got a meth problem that is worse than anywhere in the United States. And Lioness is like, I'm 100% for homeschool, but understand abusive parents can take exactly. And that's the thing. I want to keep homeschool there. But how do we protect the child? Okay. So that they're getting the best on both sides. And hello, Miss Tammy. Hope you're doing good, my dear. And so the drug side of things, we've got drug school. That's awesome. If it's working, and I don't know the statistics well enough to say if it does work or not, but it sounds like a great program. We've got programs in place. How can we open them up to the rest of the community? The only thing is, though, and this is an issue in both of these cases again, when a family member goes through those processes and is clean, okay, and continues to be clean, how do we get the children back with their biological parents with extra support, okay, and supervision and guidance? Guidance being the key word to keep a healthy, good home life going on. Because in both of these cases, both parents, okay, both moms, okay, all these things, they got clean, but they could not get their daughter back. And then they lost their daughter. Thea is saying, I am going to be homeschooling your children. Yep. And I actually, if I had kids, I probably would have homeschooled myself, especially up to a certain age. I think I would have. I've done extensive research to make sure I'm giving her the best education possible. Yes. And I know quite a few people here on YouTube that homeschool. I'll let them say for themselves that they homeschool. I don't want to be the one to say it for them. But I think it's a wonderful thing. And I see the difference between some people who do home. PJ, love you, my dear. Mwah. Love you, love you, love you. And PJ's been working really hard with everything. Everyone's been working really hard with okay, everything going on with the trial and all. But she got it. She got it. And so thank you. I've been, yeah, peeking in on those when I'm going to sleep, even though today I woke up and it was done already. I hate my time zone. What can I say? So, but yeah, no, homeschooling I think is a great thing for us to be doing. The problem is we can't, even the best thing in the world can be used in a bad way. And that's what's happened in this case. So, how do we, okay, have systems in place to protect a child who's being homeschooled? In the case of a parent who's dealing with drugs and gets clean, how can we make sure that they have the ability to get their children back and prove that they can have a safe, loving, caring household? Those things have to happen. And those two things right there, I think, are probably two of the keys. I don't know. I don't know if some of you are here still from the local side. I know we had some local people at the beginning here. Justice for Ariel, things like that. I don't know. Do you guys feel if you address the homeschool thing and the drug side, because it's hard to approach everything, but those two things seems to they're happening a lot. Those are the red flags that we see pop up all the time. Red Rock is saying, we as a society are so far behind on legislation to protect children. We should be ashamed of ourselves. The only way we save these babies is to act. Yes. Because, guys, it's barely been 2 years and we have another Ariel, okay, on an island. Okay, yes, I realize there's a lot of people on this island and all that, but still, no. And it's not like it's a whole different situation and all. It's so, so similar that it should not be happening. On the mainland, it continues to happen. Over and over, we hear the same things popping up. I think drugs and just dealing with drug use and how it affects families and how it tears apart families and how people who are addressing it can recover and heal their family would be wonderful. Okay, you can't fix everything at once. We all know that. but we can pick and choose a couple things. Both of these girls were malnourished, heavily malnourished. I mean, Ariel, the whole reason why she died was because the family did not want her getting into the refrigerator at night. So they were locking her up in a dog crate. Then they went the next ingenious step of putting duct tape over a child's nose and mouth. And almost likely, so they wouldn't, okay, she wouldn't be asking for food and stuff like that. Now, if someone had been seeing her, you would recognize again. Let's go back to that picture that I have here. Look in the upper left there. Ariel before and Ariel after. Anyone who was seeing that baby would have known she was not eating. And you can't call it a failure to thrive when you have all these other things happening. You can't keep blaming it on all these other things, right? At some point, we have to realize food's the key. If they're not getting food, it doesn't matter if they have anything else wrong. They're going to lose weight. And that's what happened in this case. Geanna, we've got a case of both Geanna and her 4-year-old Hanai sibling, okay, adopted sibling, who he now is in the hospital because at age 4, he's been diagnosed with failure to thrive. And all because of the fact that he is not getting food. They had little Geanna on a keto diet at age 10. I think they use that as the excuse because I don't think a keto diet itself would have caused what happened to her. That was just the excuse, the same way they had the excuse that, oh, she was dealing with schizophrenia or something like that. And yeah, let alone no affection, left alone all the time. And yeah, it's happening. I'm pointing out Hawaii, but it's happening everywhere. So as we're fighting this fight, okay, and taking this stand here in Hawaii, okay, each of us in our own neighborhoods can take that stand. It's hard on your own, but if you get other people with you, it becomes easier. Okay, you're following the case of an adopted son who passed for the same reasons. And that's the thing, there's so many you get confused of all the names. And we should never, people have said with Ariel, say her name. And I know that's because it's Ariel. It's not Isabella, it's Ariel. And but it's also saying their name so that they don't just become a statistic. And Lioness said, more God, less drugs, more God, less alcohol, more God, less. Yeah. Okay. Having a, whether it be a God or even, you know what? I know some people may not. Okay. I have a very deep faith. Okay. God means the world to me. He's my, okay, base of everything. But I also realize it's whether you have that, if you just have a good, you're a good moral person, you know right from wrong, you want to do the best and give people the best. That's all that has to happen. That's all. And um and that does tie into the last of the ties, the red flag ties I noticed, which is the tying up. I mean, the one thing that totally blows my mind is that anyone would tie up a child. Do they actually think that's right? That someone sees ligature marks on a child? There's no frickin' way. Exactly. And I agree. Yeah, that's it exactly. God shows us himself in whatever version we need him in. And that's true. That is so true. And if you have that, you know what? You've got the base. You've got that foundation to build on in whatever way that shows itself. Um these girl, yeah, and you have to have the morals. You have to have morals. Wherever they, yeah. Um the taping them up, the captivity. Ariel being Okay, duct taped and put into a dog crate. Okay. The case of Gianna, where she was being kept in a tiny little room, okay, with her arms literally, guys, like this. She had tape around her body, holding her arms to her body. She had things covering her eyes and tape around her head. That's not something that makes sense to me. Maybe that's good. It doesn't make sense to me. But coming from a foster parent, an adopted parent, a legal guardian, and them thinking that is fine. Okay, again, we look at visitation, supervision. Maybe that's what it is, a supervision. How many times, the other case in this case, children get to the point where they don't get the visitation anymore because they've either been adopted or something along those lines, and there's no official visitation. Even though in Gianna's case, the couple was getting $1,900 a month to have her in their house, yet there was no oversight at that point. So, tax money going into a house, okay, and no oversight to ensure those children are being kept safe. It's one of the first things I learned about long term care. You know what? When you've got taxpayer money coming in, you want to make sure it's being used correctly. That's what's okay. That people are not being abused, that people are being taken care of to the best of their ability and being able to thrive no matter who they are and what's going on in their lives. Okay, that it. Earlier, like, I didn't know about those things. See, yeah, no cooter allowed there. I love you, Sleuth. And so those are the things that we're seeing so much. It is. It's dehumanizing. Okay. There is no respect for life. Okay. And what gets me, especially in Gianna's case, is we saw a clear, and even Ariel's case, I think there was a slight difference in how Ariel was treated. All the children, I think, were abused in that situation, but there was a special level of, I hate to say the word hate, but hate towards Ariel. In the case of Gianna and her 4-year-old Hanai sibling, oh, well, Hanai, yeah, Hanai sibling. Okay, it was the same thing. Okay, in this case, though, they were not respected as human compared to their own, okay, the biological children. Okay, this couple and grandma were teaching the Hanai children that life does not matter. And that's, if you want to know from me, who should have a child and who should not have a child, if you're teaching your child that life does not matter, to me, that's as serious as everything else there. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is. The eyes are the windows. That man saw her pleading with him to let her free. Yeah. Yeah, that's it exactly. I say so much. Yeah, it makes, and guys, click and go, everyone. This has been my issue for the last few days. I know Seal Sleuth. Okay, so many people were boiling inside over all this. That here we are listening to what feels like the same exact story with a couple little differences, but in general the same outline. And it's just sickening. It's sickening. And so I want to take us on. Actually, I did not get to show you guys Ariel's page that I did of photos. I mean, these are all the little pictures of Ariel that I've pulled together over the years, and you can see the difference in her during the different times of her life. And when she was upper left, when she was with her mom, and just so happy. Look at the eyes themselves. Look at, okay, just what Click and Go said. The eyes are the window to the soul. Look at Ariel's eyes in that upper left. Now look at her eyes in the bottom right. It's a different, it's a different child at that point. So much has been changed and messed with. And so now to take us to an article I came about, and I could either do this now or we could do a separate live later to go over it. Um, Seal came across this article that truly, truly, oh my God. I don't know how I missed this earlier. And, but this is the reason why when I told you a few minutes ago that Gianna's mom wanted to fight to get her daughter back, and even the lawyers were like, oh, I don't know if you want to go up against the state. I don't know if you really want to deal with that. I am not sure. Okay. And she got that pushback from them. Trying to find more or less evidence for why that happens beyond just, oh, hearsay type things can be hard. Okay. This here blew my mind. And I did want to go through this. Okay. Like I said, if you guys want to, we can do it on a different date or we can just finish this. We've been here only an hour. So let me know. If you guys want to finish up today and come back to this, we can do that. If not, we can go through this article right now. So, but a couple years ago, we had another case out here. Okay, let me see what Seal got here. I see Seal saying, sorry to be in a, you have a sick little girl who's clingy. Nope, I get you, my dear. I understand completely. And no, well, like I said, being a nana is the best. That's the best. And that's your priority right there. And that's the difference between a family like what we just saw with Gianna and all and others. You put your loved one, that child first, no matter what it takes. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Seal would rather be here talking with people, but she knows no, no, no. Being Nana's more important. And that's how it should be. So, a number of years ago, this little guy popped up in our news out here in Hawaii. Okay, Fabian. And adorable little guy. And this will tell you a little of his story. And, but he was in the system. Okay. And while in the system, we lost him, just like Ariel, just like Gianna. Okay, like so many others, while they were being looked over by people who were supposed to be caring for them, loving them, okay, teaching them how to be stable, happy adults. They didn't. And so this blew my mind. So after their 3-year-old son, Fabian, died, okay, yeah. After their 3-year-old, by the way, hi, Cat Mama and Red Rock. And after their 3-year-old son, Fabian, died from head injuries while in foster care, Sherry Ann Garrett and Jubin Garcia went public. In a Facebook post, Sherry Ann wrote about Fabian and one of their 2 surviving children still in foster care, sharing their names. She identified the state social workers involved in the case and the foster parents. So there are some things there, okay, just saying from the get-go, okay, that I even, okay, I'm like, you know what, sharing, okay, foster parents, things, especially if you don't think anything may be going wrong or anything like, there is some level of privacy that needs to be there. And I will always stand for that privacy. Okay, but I think as parents, they should have been able to maybe not saying the names of people initially. And I don't know the system on, okay, everything that was surrounding it that led to the names. But I think being able to speak, they should be able to do that. Jubin spoke to a television reporter mentioning that his surviving children were still in foster care. Such a sweetheart. I remember this case big time. 5 days later, the State Department of Human Services, which runs the state's child welfare and foster care systems, went to court to block the parents from disclosing confidential information about the case. A DHS social worker declared that Sherry Ann had posted such information on Facebook. The worker wrote that she was concerned that the parents would keep releasing secret details unless the family judge stopped them. Now, again, I don't know this whole story, but to me, using the court, I probably, hey, sleuth, aha. And also, to me, yes, privacy is important there. But when something happens, what is wrong with approaching them and saying, hey, you know what? We understand you've got concerns right now, but it's very important that the names, especially of the foster parents, okay, are not shared. And we need to ask you to please stop. If you don't stop, we are going to have to take this next step. Okay. Explain what's going on. Then the family can make a decision, are they going to continue going on or not? But to jump to this level, which is what it sounds like and everything, um, I can see where people would start feeling again concerned. Do you say things? Okay. The judge granted the motion, among other things. Garrett and Garcia were ordered not to talk about the children being in foster care. Number one, why can they not mention that they still have children in foster care? That did not. Okay, that's not a privacy thing. That's just saying I still have a child in okay, in foster care. The involvement of DHS, the foster parents, or investigations into his death. Only when the parents' lawyer objected, saying the order violated their First Amendment rights to free speech, did the judge scale it back. In the new order, Garrett and Garcia were not to name their surviving children or release any records from the case. So this is what we're talking about. Okay, that feeling, whether it's overt of you can't say this or we're putting you behind jail, or okay, or not as overt comments, things, other things being said, threats, things like that. And I'm sorry to say, it's something that I think does happen, especially the more you read and find these things. And this here is pretty much black and white proof of what was happening around then. The 2017 case is a raw example of the strict secrecy surrounding the child welfare system. Okay, to me, there is no problem. Okay, I get the privacy side of it, but I think a parent whose children is in the system, or anybody, I don't have children in the system, but I pay for the system. Okay. I care about those in the system on both sides because I also feel the system itself does not have enough employees working for them either. And they need that additional help also. So, you know what? I try to be fair on all those things, but you know what? To sit there and say you can't speak against the system is a way of holding that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. I may get in trouble for it, but yeah. Um, the 2017, you have 6 minutes until the next call. Yes, sleuth, we can do this. The 2017 case is a raw example of the strict secrecy surrounding the welfare system. To qualify for funding, the federal government requires the states to submit plans for preserving the confidentiality of child welfare records. Okay, and I can understand that. Privacy again. All the states and the District of Columbia have passed such laws. But you know what? Privacy does not equate to not being able to talk about your fears and your concerns. You can mention your fears and concerns without mentioning names. That can be done for sure. And the most obvious reason is to protect the identities of children in foster care, as it reveals that there have been accusations of abuse or neglect by their biological parents, and the children are top priority. The real interest in terms of privacy and closed files is the impact it will have on children, said Geanna Woolman, professor of Mitchell Hamlin School of Law in Minnesota, and the director of the Institute to Transform Child Protection. We want to allow children to have privacy about horrible things that may have happened in their household. I just had someone ring my doorbell, and I bet you it's my mom. And let me just check. Well, I'm going to see if they ring it again. If they ring it a second time, I'll go. It could be the mayor. We want to allow children to have privacy about horrible things that have happened to them in their household. But how far should confidentiality laws go, especially when they infringe on the interests, such as parents' free right to speech, to talk about their case or to criticize the government's handling of them, or the public's ability to know how the child welfare system it pays for is functioning? What if the government uses confidentiality to punish critics? And this is where I think you had issues with, for example, when she wanted to try to get Geanna back. People were worried about, would there be punishment for critics? Let me see. I just saw something from Sleuth here. Okay. Here's my issue. The only reason privacy is in place is so that people cannot look at the adults and talk about the kids being in the system, their kids being in the system. Whereas the child's right, and that's like I said the other day. When will a child's right become as important as an adult's in this situation? It's that easy. That's all it comes down to is that. And let me come back here. Sorry. I need a second computer screen. Okay. The right to speech, open access, accountability across the system. The weight of those things is pretty great, Woolman said. Sleuth Mom said, I can't tell you how many rants I've had about the Fourth Amendment. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And, well, sometimes, you know what? The amendments are there for reasons. But like anything in life, again, homeschooling, for example, it's a wonderful program when done right. But some people can turn it into something it should never be. And that's the problem. Click and Go is saying, so very interesting about the pros and cons of protecting children's rights versus the parents' rights. Yeah. And it's fair questions. And maybe that's the discussion we need to be having. And projections such as using children's initials can be used to avoid identifying particular children. The rest of what's happening in these cases should be open and available for people to understand. She said, especially when things go wrong and there's an opportunity to learn and improve. And I go back to, was it Harmony's case, Sleuth, you were talking about, where they actually, after what happened to her, they put together a whole document about what had happened, oh, the good and the bad. Okay, the moment we try to hide what happened is the moment we're blind, and it's going to continue to happen over and over and over. And Geanna will just be the next one in the list because there will be another one coming after that. It was Harmony's, had a 101-page report that was doing that. To me, I think something like that should be required. I honestly think that should be required nationally, federally. If you're getting money from the government to run your programs, those are the types of things that are important. Government oversight does have its good side. It really does. Okay, yeah, sometimes but you know what? Again, it's a balance. Um, though all states have child welfare confidentiality laws, some take it further than others. Hawaii, for instance, is one of the states that closes family court proceedings to the public. It's one of the reasons why I can't often get in there to report on things. 14 states, accounting to 43% of all children in foster care, have open family court hearings to the press and public. So that's coming up on half. Not quite there, but we're getting close to half. Open up that. And you know what? I think it's accountability. And accountability is important. Opening the courts is key to improving their function. Sunlight is the best medicine certainly makes sense in this context. That's Christine Gottlieb, director of the New York School of Law Family Defense Clinic. In the case of Fabian's parents, the Hawaii Supreme Court found a year later that the family court judge had crossed a line. The state has no law preventing parents from publicly releasing the names of their children, the High Court said. The judge failed to make findings that the parents' actions posed a serious and imminent threat to the best interests of the children, or that the order had been narrowly drawn and that the less restrictive options were not available. And though Hawaii's law prevents the release of records from child welfare cases, Supreme Court found that DHS's concerns that the parents might do it anyway was too speculative. Again, getting back to what I was saying, where they're like, oh, well, they did it once and they may do it again, so we're going to take them to court over it all. Okay, that was pure speculation. There was nothing to back it up to. And yeah, click and go, especially when, many of these families are paid $1,900 to take care of Geanna. That's not chump change. That is not, it definitely is not enough chump change for a child to be malnourished and no one to know about it. Um, Exorbitant. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Putting the prohibition in an injunction was an extraordinary remedy which would subject parents to contempt for failure to comply. And that's the problem people have. Okay. Like Gianna, when she goes to her lawyers and says, I want to fight this. And they're like, well, I don't know if you want to fight it because the problem does come. If you start fighting it, are people going to play this? Because it sounded more like a game or of, I don't want to necessarily say threatening, but kind of saying, hey, you know what? Watch it. Okay. We'll make sure. We'll make sure. Okay. And it's scary. It's scary. How many did the Kaluas have that were fosters? Four. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Their sleuth has it. Yeah. Four of them. And um, the foster mother was acquitted in 2021 on charges, and she was. Um, but Garrett and Garcia are suing her, the state and other, okay, I didn't know that, and other parties in an ongoing civil case. The other two children were returned to them from foster care several months after Fabian's death. Quote, imagine being hauled into court days after the death of your child and a judge telling you you can't talk about it, said Jeffrey Foster, the attorney for Fabian's parents in the gag order case and their ensuing civil lawsuit. And if you do talk about it, you could go to jail. Imagine what that does to your healing process. You can't even begin to heal if you cannot talk about your questions, your concerns, your hurt. This is the position right now Gianna's family is in. Ariel's family is in. They gotta be. But their ordeal led to one good thing, Foster said. It provided folks going through this process with a precedent. Your constitutional right to free speech does not stop when you enter family court. Feel, yeah, 8,000 a month. And they got extra because, yeah, they're a sibling group. There's certain things that they look when they're looking at payment for people. It's age based, it's sibling group, it's are they hard to place because of diagnoses. That's why I think so many times these families love to throw out diagnoses like schizophrenia and stuff like that. And the problem is, if we're not even catching these children, okay, being abused, are they getting extra money for just saying they have a diagnosis and agreeing to the diagnosis because you just believe whatever you're being told? Okay. It's just, yeah, they did have that. Yeah. Let's see. You're concerned. Parents do criticize the system without being subject to gag orders or retribution, said Francis Wong, a retired senior judge of the Oahu's family court. Do they have a right to talk? Yes, and they do, and they have all these years, she said. And if it doesn't cause any ongoing harm, they don't get shut down. They go to the legislatures, they go to reporters, they go to TV. The problem, she said, is that some vocal parents can hurt their own cases. And that is possible. We all know that. Okay, we truly can. Cases can be hurt by what people say about them. And they said Gianna was ADHD, but had not seen a doctor since she was 5. How do you diagnose that? Exactly. Um, the problem, she said, is that, okay, if you're just saying what a horrible judge I am and there's no life consequence, big deal. My job is to receive criticism, she said. But if the criticism is directed, say, at relatives who are fostering the parents' children, it could have the effect of alienating them and making reunification more difficult. I get the thing about, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's part of our job. You just take it and all that. And you know what? Fine. Okay. If you need someone to yell at me type thing. Okay. But if the concern is that you don't want to speak up against, okay, the people who are fostering the parents' children because they may be alienated, well, then that's, in my eyes, that's saying that those foster parents are going to you're saying they are going to go talking to these children and alienating the children from, or treating the kids bad or things like that. And I'm sorry, do you really, really want to have foster parents who are doing that to the children they're supposed to be protecting? That says something there. That's saying that we're accepting that it's okay for them to do that. And no. Yeah, Gianna's that they had death on that also. Yeah. Um, in such cases as a judge, Wong stopped short of ordering parents not to talk, but she would discuss it with them, encourage them to consider the effects of their actions on other, and I think that's the way you deal with it. Treat people like adults. Because that's honestly, I think what they want is someone who will treat them like adults and talk with them and not just clam up. If I can't talk them into seeing how it's against their interests, then they're grown-ups. They are going to be consequences. Few answers in foster care. For the past year, in writing about Hawaii's child welfare system, Civil Beat has repeatedly run up against the state's confidentiality laws and regulations, or at least the officials' interpretation of them. In November, for instance, Civil Beat detailed the story of a Big Island foster mother, Yvonne Caetano, who took in at least 10 foster children before being convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison for her role in a prescription drug ring. One of the foster children was even forced to take part in the operation. According to prosecution, counting out pills to put in an envelope, which she handed over to customers who drove by her house in return for cash. DHS refused to answer several questions about the case, citing laws and statutes that says it requires confidentiality of foster parent records. The department would not say how long Yvonne and Paul had been licensed as foster parents, how much money the state had paid them, whether they had been earlier reports of abuse, or how often the children had been visited by a state social worker. One of the greatest things they do about long-term care is things are public. Okay. When we have a Department of Health survey, that survey, which includes abuse investigations and stuff like that, is actually available for anyone to get. If you have a loved one who is in a nursing home, you can ask. In fact, it's supposed to be out easy access for a copy of the plan of correction. And you will know exactly what happened during that survey and where the problems were, and not just where the problems are, because that's not good enough. It's how you're going to fix that problem going forward. So we have confidentiality in long-term care. Hell, we have a high level of confidentiality, but we're still able to deal with being transparent. And that is not happening in this system right there. And I think that's one of the reasons why we continue to have issues. Advocates for child welfare reform say there's no reason many records regarding foster parents or the government's actions in a case should not be public. Foster parents, they say, are essentially providing a service to the state and don't have the same interest in confidentiality or the right to make decisions regarding a child's privacy as do the legal parent. It's not that we don't appreciate what they do. Trust me. Okay, I've actually at one point considered becoming a foster parent. Okay, they work their butt off. And to me, it's probably one of the highest forms of giving back to others. Gottlieb, okay, but they're not on an equal footing. They're not signing up for parental rights. And once the names are known to public, Gottlieb said, it was disingenuous for a state agency to continue to withhold information. Foster licensing, how people are approved and monitored, is at the heart of a state regulatory system that the public clearly has an interest in knowing about. Told about the questions the state declined to answer in the Caetano case, Thelma said, it's ridiculous. There's no privacy interest at all in someone providing a state service like that. In another story in November, Civil Beat wrote about the performance of attorneys who have contracts with the state judiciary to represent parents in child welfare cases. Civil Beat analyze those cases that went to the Intermediate Court of Appeals after a decision in family court. Unlike family court proceedings, ICA decisions are public, and the names of the lawyers who represent parents are listed. Normally, the same attorney would have handled the case both in family court and appeal, but since the family court proceedings are closed, Civil Beat asked the judiciary just to confirm that. The judiciary refused, stating that, well, state confidentiality laws prohibit the release of a lawyer's name. I can't see any reason for that, woman said. Child welfare reformers argue that more transparency is key for exposing failure and making the system work better. Amen, 150%. Too often, they say, child protection agencies and family courts use confidentiality to block such scrutiny. They do a terrible job and they don't want anyone to know. It's like every other government agency. If they can operate in secrecy, they certainly will. Red Rock says, maybe get the debt under control before the state money kicks in. Large amount. Yeah. True. That's actually a good point there. Often Gottlieb said it's the parents whose confidentiality laws are supposed to protect who want to speak openly. Okay, they're trying to protect the actual biological parents. And that's not the direction it seems to go. It's the powers that be that are trying to squelch openness. One Big Island grandmother lost her fight to adopt her grandson, largely because she had spoken out about the case and promised to do so in the future. Hey, Robbie, love you. Hey, love you. And this is exactly why Geanna and everyone, okay, in the case of her mother and all people were worried to speak up. Okay, this Big Island grandmother basically lost the chance of getting her own grandson adopted because she said, no, I'm going to speak out about the case and I will do it in the future. Civil Beat wrote about Deborah Goodwin's case in June. After her daughter died in a car accident, Goodwin tried in vain to foster and then adopt her grandson. Family court judge Mahilani Hyatt, in her decision granting adoption to the grandson's foster parents instead of actual blood grandparent, cited her vocal advocacy for her cause and her criticism of child welfare officials. Goodwin had come to Civil Beat and her case years earlier, leading to a 2019 story. She told a court appointed custody evaluator that she was thinking of writing a book about her case and that if she couldn't adopt her grandson, planned to reveal what she saw as a corrupt system. Goodwin also filed a lawsuit against DHS. Judge Hyatt found that these and other actions, quote, appear to confirm that she is prone to put her own needs in front of her grandson's. When I think some people are probably saying she was actually putting her grandson's needs first because she wanted people to know this is the system that is surrounding everything. Woman said she is careful to advise clients that want to speak publicly about their cases that it could lead to severe consequences. This kind of thing happens all the time. It's just punitive. It's a total political and punitive view of the world. Talking publicly about a case or filing a lawsuit against the state has no bearing on one's capacity to parent. She said, calling this idea crazy. Wong, the retired judge, while not commenting directly on Goodwin's case, said that in general, judges should not retaliate against critics and are generally open to criticism and advice from others, such as researchers. Family court is not in the business of protecting ourselves, she said. If we were, we wouldn't let in observers. We wouldn't let them have data. We're not defensive about it. It's stuff we have to know. If we don't do a good job and a better job, we're failing the kids and the families. Child welfare reformers argue that the family court proceedings would be improved by opening them to the public, as has been done in more than a dozen states, including some of the largest. Was that the one that's like 43%? NCCPR, in its report, said that even some of the critics who warned against opening up in family courts came to and see it as a positive change. Only one state, Connecticut, reversed course because it was a limited pilot that ended. There are benefits beyond transparency, Felmeth said. It might even help chronically underfunded child welfare agencies get the support they need. I could see that. If people see just how hard the system work, okay, the people, the foster families, okay, the caseworkers, the judges, the ombudsman, all those people, how hard they work, and they get to see these stories, they may be much more open to be saying, what else can I do to help? I want to help. Okay, because I see all this good happening. I want to help. What can I do? It's just smart, he said. If you want to be properly funded, the only way you can do that is to let the legislature and the public know what's going on so they can respond. DHS did not respond to a request for an interview for the story. Not really surprised. Um, I'll be honest, gang. Be totally blunt right now. I've been very nervous to even speak up. Very nervous to speak up. But these kids deserve someone to speak up. And there's so many people who are willing to. They're going to be out there on Wednesday. They're going to be walking. And like I said, it's not about finding fault. And I think that's the problem. We look at things as trying to find fault. It's not about finding fault. It's about looking at ways that we can fix a system and move forward with that system and become a system that when kids age out of it, they're like, that was actually a good experience rather than all the horror stories we hear instead. Because we know the large majority of people who are involved in the system truly do care. They truly do care. But we've got to give them the tools so they can be successful. And I'm sorry, that's the way it is. And so I came across that. Thank you, okay, for the person who sent it to me because it really, really said a lot to me. I was really impressed with what I saw in it. Oops, sorry, I had a comment up the whole time. Sorry, Sleuth. Um, it, I'm hoping things will change over the time, and we'll see what happens because I remember when I was in college, the case that everyone talked about was Peter Boy. You couldn't go anywhere. Even I drive over to Ala Moana and I'd be behind someone's car and there would be a Peter Boy, find Peter Boy, okay, sticker on the back of the car. We got to do these things. We got to speak up. And it's not about saying, oh, you've done a horrible job at these things. Yes, the monsters who've hurt these children have done a freaking horrible job. Okay, but the other ones, we just got to give them the tools. Diane, are you doing, my dear? Welcome, 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 and love you, my dear. And Hawaii, where the volcanoes are really just the years of secrets of Belgium. And guys, it's sad because there's a reason why people are starting to write articles about Hawaii, Hawaii, and a corrupt government. And I hate to say I live in that state and I adore that state and I love that state and I will never leave this state because of how much I love it. But I'm embarrassed when I see those articles and all. So these kids deserve more. Okay. Yes, Diana, we did. That they asked for 500,000 bail and all three were said, no, not happening. Forget it. Unless was there more to that, Diana? Let me know if there was more to that. By the way, Diana, I'm actually going to be Wednesday. I'm going to be at the courthouse. Okay, we're going down to the Capitol, not courthouse, the Capitol, and we're going to walk in honor of Geanna and all. So, but for those of you who are here, I know that's a lot of information that we shared and everything. A hell of a lot of information. Yes, I forgot about that. She wants preferential treatment because she's pregnant. I really wish they had given Geanna even a doctor's appointment in 5 to 8 years, whatever the exact number was, I forget. Would have been really nice. Very, very nice when she fell. And sorry, I don't, I feel like an asshole saying that because the baby deserves more. That baby deserves more. And also, but no, no, no. Okay, it's not a disability to be pregnant. Doctors can take care of pregnancy behind bars. They can do that. If it gets dangerous enough, okay, if she's high risk enough or the baby's having problems, then yes, we've got Kapiolani, we got queens that can step in at that point. But no, not to mention the fact, to be honest, I suspect for most of the testing and all that, they'll be taking her to Kapiolani or Queens anyhow. So yeah, you're welcome. You are welcome. Okay, yeah, no special treatment. You are very welcome. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know. I'm gonna try to do some video from the walk on Wednesday. So you guys, because I know so many of you guys are feeling very strongly about this, and hopefully we can start making some changes. Bookends exactly. Actually, in fact, I've been like, okay, you guys, for those of you who weren't here, please, when we're done, go back and watch at the beginning. I showed what was one of two bookends, which was a video that Gianna's daddy did when he was meeting with her for one of the visitations, and they were playing out on the playground. It's the one that I shared actually on my community tab the other day. And however, we also have a, let me see if I can find it right here somewhere. Right there. We've got one other bookend, which is our little Ariel. Some of you guys saw this last week. And let me pull down Diana's thing so you guys can see it. This is our little Ariel in the purple diaper there, and in her hands. So before we end, I wanted to play that. So here we go. Come on, why is it not playing? Sorry, let me do this. It's probably been sitting there too long. Ah, there. It's like I can go play with my big sister. I like their fish tank there. She's like, okay, forget it. And, but look at Ariel. She's just this little Kolohe one. They, like I said before, they're the ones that I always love the most because they're everywhere. They have such joy of life. I'm gonna play because that one is so much shorter than the other one. I'm gonna play it one more time. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Seal. And oh, so cute. We can't forget these two. Okay. And I don't think any of us want to add a third. Yeah, Seal is doing some butt blocking or something. It's exercise, you know. And uh, yeah, we don't want to add a third name here. All these little kids that are right now happy at home and something's going to happen. And hey, how you doing, my dear? Welcome, welcome. And all these little ones are at home right now. Something's going to happen. Okay. Is there another little girl who, or little boy, whose parents unfortunately get mixed into addiction and are pulled away from their parents? And their parents work so hard and get back full force job, maybe even become a nurse, as we're seeing in Ariel's case. And yet they pay the ultimate price. And we don't need another name on this by any means. So for those of you guys, again, I'm Wednesday. Geanna, we've got a bunch of us who are showing up down at the at Capitol, and we're going to walk, and we're going to honor this girl. Okay, the following week, we are going over to Kapolei Family Courthouse. And that article I just read to all you guys about how people are keeping these files secret and they don't want anyone to hear what happened because it might just, oh, it just might open up things too much. We might find out things that maybe we don't want to know about or things like that. Okay, no, no, no. Okay. The, Ariel deserves to have her story told and for changes to occur so there is not another case. And that's what the 21st is about, getting those records unsealed so that people can look at those and figure out what needs to be done. Okay, if the system itself would realize that they have a huge benefit by using the people out here. Okay, people in Hawaii love and care for their keiki, their kapuna, their adult, okay, their seniors. We love, we care, we honor those people, and we want to make the best possible life for them. Let us help solve those issues. Let us help support the system. But let's not keep saying the status quo is fine because it's not. So I'll be back here probably. I'll see if I could go live on Wednesday. But if not, I will definitely do a follow-up live for you guys so you know what's going on. Again, Geanna, the three of them asked for bail. All three were said no, nada, not happening. Gianna's maternal or mom, okay, guardian is pregnant and wants special privileges and be treated differently and all that. No, not happening as of now. They will be going back in on Wednesday at 1:30, and we've got a preliminary hearing, so we'll see what happens there. So all of you guys who've been hanging out here, thank y'all so much. Those of you who just joined us, please, I don't ask I don't ask for donations, stuff like that. Okay, I love them when they come, but what I do ask for, please share. Please share. Please help say these names. Help people realize that they're not going to be swept underneath the carpet anymore. And also, love each and every one of you. Thanks, Tim. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to go grab myself something to eat for dinner, and I will talk to each and every one of you later. Aloha, mahalo.